Today we're having a look at the T217 from Speras. So I put my hand up to review this because I own a hunting flashlight store and I wanted to check it out first before I brought it in. It has issues that have put me off, so it is unfortunate, and we'll get onto that a little bit later. So this is the kit version. It comes with a red and a green filter and also the remote switch. USB type C, so it just plugs into the charging port, which is pretty good. Large smooth reflector, and you've got a round LED on this. Not sure the manufacturer, but it's used on the M4 model and quite a few other flashlights out there from various brands. You've got threads on the bezel for the filters, so they screw onto the front. USB type C charging port. This doesn't fully support C to C charging. It works on some power bricks and doesn't work on others. Like on my Samsung S21 it didn't want to work, but on the Immelent SR32 power brick I received it works fine, so this is a little bit disappointing. Side switch, battery status indicator, good feel to it. You've got a rear forward switch, so hold it down, gets you momentary of whatever mode you're on. And if you double press both switches, you'll get instant strobe. Then you've got 4 levels, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a bit strange to have, for me, the strobe, instant strobe from double pressing either switch. I've never known anybody in New Zealand, at least, that has ever used a strobe out hunting. So maybe that's different in other countries with dangerous animals. I really just don't know. I would have far rather have turbo there. Just makes a bit more sense. Smooth anodizing on this, but these grooves here, horizontal and vertical grooves here, do add sufficient grip to that. It's fine. And then you've got this tactical ring here that adds the bit of grip so your hand doesn't slide back if you want to hold it in tactical grip. So maybe they did have this in mind of being a tactical model as well. Lanyard attachment on this tactical ring, as well as 2 lanyard attachments at the tail caps, and this ring here helps it to stop rolling on a smooth surface, flat surface. Yeah, 21700 battery pack that it runs on. This gives it very good runtime, but this does not charge all the way in this light. So this here stopped at 8.18 volts, which per battery is 4.09 volts. So it doesn't charge right up full, and that would be why it fell short of the runtime spec in the manual. But personally, I would rather it not charge up to 4.20 volts. It just helps it to last a lot longer. You know, it doesn't need to be replaced with a new battery pack as quickly as if you were charging right up to 4.2 volts every time. But maybe that's why it doesn't reach its range rating. So maybe that's why. It's rated at 1,400 meters, and I measured just over 1,200. It's a little bit disappointing. For that, especially as a hunting light, you've got a certain range in mind, and when it falls short, if it's like 50 meters or whatever, that doesn't really matter, but you know, almost 200, that's quite significant. But it does hit its lumen rating. So yeah, I don't know. You'd think if the battery was causing it not to reach the range rating, that it wouldn't reach the lumens either, or maybe they've made a mistake in the manual, or they've bumped it up for advertising. I really don't know, but yeah, it is a bit unfortunate. I measured over the lumens, so that is good to see that is accurate at least. But yeah, so the other thing on this light is that the filters are horrible. You know, they screw on the front and they can cross thread, and they're just so fiddly to get them on there. It's like they cross thread, it's stuck. You have to wind it sort of back so that it can drop in, and now you can screw it on. So it's okay if you're going out for a night's hunt and all you're going to use is either a red or green for the entire night, then it's going to be perfectly fine. But if you're wanting to swap filters while you're out there, you're going to hate this system. The ones that slip over the front, they're just so quick and easy. This kind of setup I don't like at all. And like the ones that have like the silicon over them, rubber that just slots over the front, just helps to add a bit of protection to them as well. With this, feels a bit fragile if you dropped it. But yeah, it's like the other issue is the beam profile is terrible. It's got rings throughout the whole beam and around the outside of the beam, rings as well. They didn't do any kind of adjustments to try and make it look nice. And they did this sort of the same thing with the T3R model here. This was from the first batch, and it just had a large, ring artifact around the hotspot, and it just did not look good at all. And they fixed that later on. But they shouldn't have to fix stuff after they've released it, and that's the big thing that I have against manufacturers, is they kind of use the first batch as a means of testing out to see whether there's any issues that need to be fixed before they go into mass production. Manufacturers should be responsible for testing this out and fixing anything that's present before selling it on, asking money for your product. If I was a manufacturer, I would make sure that everything was fine-tuned and it looked perfect, because it's people's hard-earned money here, and that's my attitude that I have running a company, is that this is my customers' money, and they don't. It's just not to throw around, or it's not just for my own benefit to make some money, but I want my customers to be buying a really good product and them to be happy with it. It's just so important. It's just really, really important. But yeah, that's what I think of this light, and thanks for watching, guys.